98 years ago, Martin Buber, this German Jewish philosopher and theologian, published this book called I and Thou. And it's become a foundational book for how people think in Jewish circles and Christian circles, as well as in psychological circles, how people think about relationships and how almost everything that we do in life has this thread of relationships and how we orient toward or conceive of those relationships. Basically, what Buber says is that in our thinking about relationships and in our practice of relating, we either relate to things from an I, it standpoint of like orientation, or an I, thou standpoint of orientation. And in some, he's speaking of the I-it relationships. And it could be, a relationship to another individual or an object, a tree. We can either see those as just an object, or we can see them in a more subjective, relational, honoring way. And so were we to make a connecting point between yesterday's reflection on the Imago Dei, right? Seeing all of those who are children of God, like all people, as the Imago Dei, that would be this way of relating in an I-thou sense. Martin Luther King picked up some of the threads of Buber's thinking, the I-thou thinking, in all of the work toward civil rights. And when people are subjected or seen as somehow less than human or less than, that they're treated, effectively, essentially in an I-it way. And when we recognize all people's inherent dignity and worth, right, then we're treating and relating to people in I-thou ways. And his philosophy has, many different layers, Buber's does. But I wonder how we do, just today, just right now, in terms of relating to things around us in ways that allow for a deeper recognition of what other things are or who other people are essentially, in their essence. At Theology on Tap this last Friday night, one of the participants was sharing her general orientation of relating to other people. And she said, what I've been doing is I've been thinking, as I relate to other people, they're doing the best that they can with what they have. And she said she applies that to every person whose path she crosses, at least in a sense of intention. To look at every single person making every decision, decisions we might agree with or disagree with, decisions that we think build community or destroy community. She lays this lens over relating to other people with this simple notion of believing that they're doing the best they can with what they have. And it seems like this window into an I-thou relationship, sort of honoring and respecting who this person is and how it is that they're moving about their day, how I'm moving about my day, as well as I can. with what I've got. So I'll bring us into a little meditation here. And in the meditation, just for now, I'll invite you to just leave your eyes open and just let your gaze settle upon something in the room where you are, the space where you are. And you could choose to see whatever it is that your eyes have landed on as just, well, it's just another little object. But with time, increase your observance of it. What does it look like? What's your perception of it? And what's the history of that object? Like, why is it in your space? You might wonder about who made it, if it's something made, who crafted it, who imagined it, who brought it into being. And how do you treat it? How do you care for it, relate to it? What emotions does it cause to bubble up in you? For what are you grateful about that object there? Making a little time and space to slow down, dive a little deeper. In your eye relationships to those around. Little window into Buber's thinking. Finding God in the times of COVID. Today is January the 25th. Blessings on your day and on your relationships to everything around you today.